Good afternoon to all. Welcome to the second session of Tableau. So today we are going to start from the same place where we have stopped in our last session. So in case if anyone missed the first session, please go ahead and watch the video of the first session before attending the class of the second session. Okay, so let me start today's class. Okay, so in our second session, we are going to discuss about the below topics. How to change the mark type of a graph, how to apply the size, how to apply label, what is the concept of the detail and tooltip, how we can able to generate a map graph using latitude and longitude, very basic level. Okay. What is the concept of the rows and columns? What is the concept of vertical and horizontal? How you can swap the data between rows and columns? Is there any type of options available in Tableau or not? We are going to see those things. What are the different type of data types available in Tableau? So basically there are 6 different type of data types which we are going to learn today. Apart from that, some fields will be Tableau generated. How to identify those fields from our side, we are going to discuss on that as well. Okay, so without wasting any more time, let's start the today's session. Okay, so I believe that you can able to recall this graph. We created this graph in our first session. So today what we will do, we will create the duplicate of this graph. Okay, so for this thing, just right click and select the duplicate option. Okay, so we have created the duplicate of the graph, whatever we created in our first session. Now in the left hand side, you will see something called as a 4 marks. Now what is the meaning of the 4 marks? So 4 marks is nothing but your bar. So in our case, if you see, we have 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 and 4. So that is why it is showing as 4 marks. Okay. Now we can change our mark type. How we can change our mark type? By using this option. So what is our current mark type? Our current mark type is bar because it is coming up in bar. Okay. Now, if you want to change it from bar to circle, what you can do, just click on this drop down option and select the circle. See, it is coming up in circle. Okay. Now, just drag profit and drop it in color. You can see that one circle becomes the brightest one. Okay, so by viewing this from the graph level only, you can identify that under which shift mode level we have done the maximum profit. So if you see, for this one we have done a profit of around 164089, right? For this one the profit is less, for this one the profit is less, for this one also the profit is less. So that is why it changed into the brightest one, because under this shift mode, what is the shift mode? Standard class. So under this standard class shift mode, we have done the maximum profit. Okay. Now, out of curiosity, what you can do, you can also drop the cells into size. So just drag the cells and drop it into size. Now see, the sizes has become reduced. So by viewing at the graph level only, you can identify that for this one, we have done the maximum cells. This is the smallest cells under this shift mode. What is the shift mode? Shift mode is the same day. So under the shift mode, same day shift mode, we have done the less sale. What is the sale amount? 128363, right? Under this one, 459194, and this one 351428. So the size has become automatically big or less based on the amount of sales we have done. Okay, now again what you can do, just drag this quantity and drop it in the label. See? So what is the total number of quantity we have sold under each ship mode level? It is coming up. It is showing up in the graph one. Okay. So here we have discussed that how you can change your automatic mark. So you can select circle, you can select square, area, all those things are available. How you can utilize this color, size, level options as well. by dropping your columns as per the requirement, by dropping your fields as per your requirement. Okay. Okay, so in our last class, we have discussed a concept of view, right? So if you see what is the view level here, view is at ship mode level, right? So view is at the ship mode level. Now, if you again see your left hand side screen, you will see one another text, one row by four columns. What is the meaning of one row by four columns? So here is the one row, that is the sales part, and four columns. What is the four columns? First class, same day, second class, and the standard class. These are your four columns. Okay. Now, if you want to change your view, for an example, if you want to aggregate your graph in region plus ship mode level. Okay. So drag the region and drop it in the columns. You can see the configuration has been changed. What is the configuration now? The configuration is one row by 16 columns. Okay. So what is the configuration now? One row by 16 columns. Right. Now again, do one thing. Drag this region and add it in the rows. Okay. So what is the configuration now? Four rows by four columns. Initially, what was our configuration? Initially, our configuration was one row by four column. So initially, our configuration was one row, four columns. Now, suppose you miss you want to change the view at ship mode level and region level, but you do not want to change your configuration. Okay, so in that case, what you can do? You can just add this region. You can add this region and drop it in detail. Okay. So what is the configuration now? One row by four columns. What is our initial configuration? That was also one row by four columns. So again, if you want to aggregate your view at ship mode level and any other level, okay, and if you do not want to change your configuration, what you can do? You can just add that column in detail. So if you want to show the graphs at ship mode level and region level, but if you do not want to change the configuration of the graph, then you can utilize the concept of detail. So I believe that now it is clear that why you are going to utilize the detail option. All right. Okay, now hover your mouse over this circle. You can able to see some extra informations coming up, right? So these we call as a tooltip. Okay. So if you want to change the format of the tooltip, you can also able to edit the tooltip, right? So how you can able to do that? You can able to see this option, right? Tooltip. Please click this option. Now, suppose for an example here, you want to make some sentence. Okay. Okay. So I just edited the tooltip and I am just trying to make a sentence out of it. Okay. So here I mentioned region ship mode made a profit and this is the profit amount. Okay. I am just clicking OK now. Now, if you just hover the mouse, look, see, center standard class made a profit of 25,352. So I just made a sentence by editing the option of tooltip. Okay, so as of now, what we have discussed? As of now, we have discussed today on mark type, size, label, detail, and tooltip. Right? Okay, now rename your sheet. Rename your sheet and once again duplicate it. Okay, now if you see my screen, in our first class, we have discussed that these are our headers, right? So these headers are arranged one after the other or one below the other. One after another, right? One after another. So when we are speaking about columns, columns will be arranged like this, right? So these are one after another. These are one after another. So this is what? This is a horizontal arrangement. So by that, we can also say headers are always in horizontal arrangement. Okay, so if you want to display any data in horizontal fashion, why do you need to add those fields? You need to add those fields in this section. Okay, now if you see the sales are arranged in what? Sales are arranged in vertical fashion, right? So if I give you a bunch of rows, how you are going to arrange those rows? You are going to arrange those rows one below the other, right? So these are the rows. These are the rows. So we can also determine from here that rows will be in vertical arrangement. So if we want to display any fields or any data in a vertical arrangement fashion, then we need to add those fields or those columns in this row section, right? Okay, now do one thing. Click this symbol. Okay, so if we click this symbol, now see there is a change in the graph. So whatever we have discussed earlier, now in this graph you can see the cells are arranged in what? The cells are arranged in horizontal fashion, right? That means one after another. And if you see the ship mode, the ship mode are arranged in what? The ship mode are arranged in vertical fashion. That means one below another. So we can say that we can utilize this symbol to swap rows and columns. Okay, so don't get fixed yourself that in the columns we can only utilize the dimensional fields, and for rows we are only going to utilize the measure fields or the calculation fields. No matter what you are going to add in this area, the thing is that whatever you are going to add in the columns, that will come in a horizontal fashion, and whatever you are going to add in the rows, that will come in a vertical fashion. Okay, now suppose for an example, I have given you a bunch of latitude. Okay, so this is the equator, this is Tropic of Cancer, this is Tropic of Capricorn. Okay, so by seeing the details only, you can able to understand that this is a concept of what? This is a concept of one below another, which means it's a rows. That means latitude we need to place in row section, correct? Okay, so now what we are going to do, remove this thing. You can able to see there is a latitude generated. Okay, so drag this field and drop it where? Drop it in the rows, what we discussed, right? Longitude, just drag it and drop it in the columns. See, we have generated a graph. Now if we try to transpose this by using this symbol, whether we are going to get a graph map, probably not. Okay, so let's try. So we are clicking this option to transpose the field or to transpose the data. C is blank. Now again transport it back. So here we are able to generate a graph, a map graph. Okay, so now we have already generated this map. Okay, now what you need to do, you just drag the country column and drop it in the label. Okay, so United States is coming up, and what is the configuration of the graph now? The configuration of the graph is one row by one column. Okay, now suppose if we want to display the data of state as well, if we want to aggregate this graph in state level as well. Okay, so drag this state and drop it in the columns. Okay, so it is coming up, but whether this graph is making any sense, whether you can able to identify anything from this graph, no, right? So again, drag this state and drop it in the rows. Okay, so whether it's making any sense by seeing this graph, whether you can able to understand anything, no, right? What is the configuration of the graph? The configuration of the graph is 49 rows by one column. And when we added this state in column, what is the configuration of the graph? The configuration of the graph is one row by 49 columns. So initially today we discussed a concept of detail, right? So if you do not want to change the configuration of the graph, what you have to do, just drag this state and drop it in detail. Now see, what is the configuration? One row by one column. And now it is making some sense. Okay, now rename the sheet as arrange rows vertical and columns horizontal. Okay, so arrange rows vertical and columns horizontal. For this one, you can just rename the sheet as You can rename the sheet as map graph using Lat Long. Okay. Okay. Now we are going to duplicate our sheet once again. So again, right click and select the duplicate option. Okay. Now in the left hand side, you can able to see some icons, some symbols, right? So ABC. Okay. So that means in Tableau, we'll call them as a string. Okay. The globe. In Tableau, we call them as a geospatial. Okay. Calendar. Call them as a date. Now, has. Okay. In Tableau, we call them as a in Tableau, we call them as a numeric. Okay. So ABC, that's the string, the globe icon, that is geospatial, calendar, this is date, and the hash, this is numeric. Okay. Apart from these four, sometimes you are going to see these symbols as well. Okay. This symbol as well. Okay. So this is nothing but calendar with time. So in Tableau, we call them as a date and time. Okay. Apart from that, you are also going to see sometimes T or F. So in Tableau, we call them as a Tableau, we call them as a Boolean. So in Tableau, we have 6 different data types. String, geospatial, calendar, date, not calendar exactly, date. Okay. Date and time, numeric, and Boolean. Boolean means what? True or false. Okay. Apart from these 6 data types, apart from 6 data types which are available in Tableau, you can have also able to see you can also able to see these are in italic, right? Latitude, longitude, orders, measures, these are in italic. If you see quantity, this is straight, but this is in italic, right? So sometimes what happens is like Tableau is going to generate some fields by its own. Okay, so whatever the fields generated by Tableau automatically by its own, those will come in a numeric, those will come in a italic fashion, right? So these are nothing but the Tableau generated fields. All right, so that is the end of our today's session. But before closing the Tableau, don't forget to save your work in the Tableau public account. If you do not know how to save those files, please do check my first session videos. We have already explained there how to save all those files in the Tableau public account. Apart from that, for any session, if you have any type of queries, if you are facing any type of difficulties, please do let me know. You can reach me out through email, or you can also comments in the video. I will try to help you out as early as possible. Again, thanks everyone for joining and have a great day. We'll see you soon in our next session.